There are moments on this journey when the silence becomes unbearable. You may feel it as an emotional emptiness, a strange pressure in your chest, or a stillness so heavy it seems to echo through your body. You've done the inner work, you've waited, you've released, healed, surrendered, and yet something feels unresolved. The one who once ran, the one who turned away, appears absent not only from your life but from any visible movement toward truth. This silence can feel like rejection, like abandonment, or like proof that nothing is happening at all. And that uncertainty quietly wears on your nervous system, leaving you questioning your intuition, your worth, and even the connection itself. In today's video, we step directly into that silence and reveal what is actually unfolding beneath it. As a psychologist who understands the spiritual and energetic dimensions of the twin flame journey, I will guide you through what happens when the divine masculine reaches the point where avoidance is no longer possible. You will begin to understand why running was never indifference, why detachment was never lack of feeling, and why the sudden shift from distance to pursuit does not happen randomly. This is the moment of awakening, when the internal defenses collapse and the soul can no longer deny its own truth. We will unpack the emotional, psychological, and energetic mechanics behind the runner becoming the chaser. By the end of this transmission, you will no longer interpret silence as absence or stillness as stagnation. You will understand what it truly means when the roles reverse, not as a game of power, but as a profound internal reckoning. This video will help you regulate your emotions, release self-doubt, and see the journey with clarity rather than fear. Most importantly, it will reconnect you to your inner stability, so that whether the divine masculine moves toward you physically or not, you remain grounded, empowered, and clear. Stay with this video until the end, because what is revealed here may completely change how you understand everything that has been unfolding in the quiet. Section 1. The shattering of illusions. For the divine masculine, the ego has long functioned as a fortress, carefully constructed, heavily guarded, and designed to keep vulnerability at a safe distance. It was built to protect against emotion, against exposure, and most of all against the overwhelming intensity of sacred connection. Within this structure, strength was defined as self-containment, independence as emotional distance, and control as the absence of need. The inner narrative was simple and convincing. I am in control. I do not need anyone. I am untouched. For a long time, this illusion worked. It allowed movement through life without feeling too deeply, without confronting the ache beneath the surface, without acknowledging the quiet pull of a connection that threatened the identity they had learned to survive with. But awakening never arrives gently when truth has been resisted. It begins when the mirror cracks, when the fog lifts, and the carefully polished glass of self-image splinters beyond repair. In that moment, avoidance is no longer possible. The divine masculine is forced to see what has been hidden beneath layers of distraction and denial. The love they dismissed as weakness. The connection they suppressed because it felt too powerful. The feelings they buried in order to function, to perform, to remain composed. What once felt safely distant now stands directly in front of them, undeniable and alive. And when this confrontation occurs, the truth does not arrive quietly. It crashes in like a tidal wave. The realization is startling and humbling all at once. They were never in control. Not of the connection, not of the longing, not of the soul's memory. The ego believed it held the reins, but it was only delaying the inevitable reckoning. The ego must shatter because it cannot coexist with truth. The old distractions no longer soothe. The numbness that once dulled emotion fails to hold. Denial collapses under the weight of remembrance. What follows can feel like chaos, emotional turmoil that surfaces without warning, tears that arrive unexpectedly, memories flooding back with sharp clarity, an identity crisis that feels like losing everything that once defined them. Yet this is not loss, it is the shedding of a false self. As the fragments fall away, something deeper begins to emerge. The divine masculine starts to see with new eyes. The chaser was never a phase, never interchangeable, never erased by time or distance. What they tried to outrun was not another person, it was their own soul calling them back into truth. The ego falls not as punishment, but as preparation, because only when the illusion breaks can the soul finally be heard. Before we move into the next section, pause for a moment and let what you have just heard settle within you. Notice what stirred, whether it was resistance, emotion, recognition, or a quiet inner knowing. Awakening does not always arrive with clarity. Often it arrives as discomfort, as reflection, as the sense that something familiar is breaking open inside you. This is where integration begins. Take a breath and ask yourself what illusion may be dissolving in your own life, and what truth is asking to be acknowledged. If this message resonated, we invite you to reflect in the comments, share what surfaced for you, or simply type, "I am ready to see the truth," as a declaration of awareness. Your reflection matters, and it helps anchor what is unfolding as we move deeper into what comes next. Section 2. The Awakening of the Heart. When the ego finally collapses, something far more powerful takes its place. The heart awakens, and the heart does not arrive gently. It does not whisper its truth or ask for permission. It rises with force. It roars. What was once muted now demands to be felt, fully and without restraint. Sleep becomes elusive. Nights stretch long, not because of restlessness, but because silence itself has grown loud. In the stillness, memories surface with startling clarity. Each heartbeat seems to carry a story, a feeling, a moment that was once avoided or pushed aside. The body remembers what the mind tried to forget. The heart remembers what the ego worked so hard to suppress. Suddenly, the presence of the chaser fills spaces that were once empty. Rooms no longer feel quiet. Their energy lingers, warm and unmistakable, as though it has always been there, waiting. Their voice echoes in moments of silence. Their essence presses close, not as a thought, but as a felt experience that cannot be ignored. This is not fantasy. This is not longing born of loneliness. This is resonance. The heart awakens because the barrier is gone. The walls that once kept love contained have fallen. What was buried now moves freely through the emotional body, raw, exposed, undeniable. Love is no longer filtered through control or logic. It arrives unguarded, overwhelming in its honesty. There is no place left to hide from it. Longing becomes physical. It is no longer an abstract desire, but a visceral ache that can bring the divine masculine to their knees. The pull is constant, steady, and relentless. Dreams become vivid and emotionally charged. Synchronicities multiply with precision. Songs speak directly. Names appear repeatedly. Moments align too perfectly to dismiss. Energy that once felt dormant returns, surging through the system as if something ancient has been reactivated. The divine masculine begins to feel the chaser everywhere, in movement, in stillness, in moments of distraction and moments of reflection. This happens because the cord between them was never severed. It was only buried beneath fear, denial, and self-protection. Now, with the ego out of the way, that cord reopens. What flows between them is not fantasy or obsession. It is a direct current between souls, a magnetic force rooted in memory, recognition, and truth. It cannot be reasoned away or escaped, because it does not originate in the mind. It lives in the heart. And so the heart awakens, and the chase begins. Not driven by desire alone, but by remembrance, by the deep, undeniable knowing that something sacred was always there, waiting to be reclaimed. Section 3. The Weight of Guilt and the Soul's Reckoning. Guilt does not announce itself with drama. It arrives quietly, almost imperceptibly, slipping into the spaces left open by silence, and then, without warning, it floods everything. What once felt distant becomes immediate. What was avoided now stands directly in front of them. In moments of stillness, the divine masculine begins to replay the past with painful clarity. Every word spoken too sharply, every moment of dismissal, every time fear was chosen over love. Scenes return uninvited, not as vague memories, but as living impressions that carry emotional weight. There is no escaping them because the mind is no longer in control. The heart has taken over. The guilt is heavy, relentless, unavoidable. It settles into the chest and refuses to move. But this is not punishment. It is reckoning. A moment of deep internal truth where the soul demands honesty and the heart refuses any further denial. The divine masculine can no longer justify, minimize, or look away. Dreams become intense and unsettling. Some arrive as vivid memories, others as symbolic nightmares that expose buried fears. Beneath them all lies the same realization, the fear of having lost the one soul who truly saw them, the one who recognized their essence even when they could not, the one who loved beyond masks and defenses. The body responds to this inner confrontation. The chest tightens as though holding unspoken grief. The throat closes, carrying words that were never voiced. Breath becomes shallow, reflecting emotions that were never fully felt. The body holds what the heart has carried for far too long. And slowly, painfully, understanding deepens. The guilt is not only about what was done, it is about what was never said, never offered, never healed. It is the weight of missed moments, withheld vulnerability, and love that was felt but not expressed. Then comes the most devastating realization of all. In running from the chaser, they were not running from love. They were running from themselves, from their own truth, from the parts of their soul that demanded courage, openness, and presence. When the guilt becomes unbearable, something shifts. The chase begins, but not as an escape from pain, not as a reaction driven by fear. It begins as an act of responsibility, a desire to face what was avoided, to speak what was silenced, to make things right, not only with the chaser, but with their own soul. Imagine a moment that seems ordinary on the surface. The divine masculine is alone in a quiet room at night, sitting with nothing but a dim light and the hum of the world outside. There is no crisis unfolding, no dramatic trigger, just stillness. And in that stillness, a memory rises. Not a grand moment, but a small one. A message left unanswered, a look turned away, a chance to speak that was dismissed because it felt safer to stay silent. The weight of that moment presses into the chest, not as regret alone, but as understanding. They realize that the pain they tried to avoid back then did not disappear, it simply waited. In this realization, guilt transforms into clarity. They see that love was never asking for perfection, only presence. The chase does not begin with a dramatic declaration or a sudden reunion. It begins quietly, with a decision made in the heart, to stop running, to take responsibility for what was left unfinished, and to move forward with honesty, even if fear is still present. In that single, conscious choice, the soul begins to heal, and the path toward making things right finally opens. Section 4. The fear of losing the chaser forever. Then comes the moment that cracks the inner world wide open, the moment nothing can be rationalized away anymore. The divine masculine begins to notice a shift. The chaser is no longer stagnant, no longer suspended in longing or pain. They are smiling again, healing, choosing themselves, living a life that moves forward rather than waiting in place. There is light in their eyes where there was once quiet devotion, strength where there was once patience, and in that instant, the illusion collapses. The illusion that the chaser would always be there. The illusion that time could be paused. The illusion that love this profound could be delayed without consequence. The divine masculine realizes something they never fully faced before. The chaser was never guaranteed. They were never frozen in time, never promised to wait indefinitely, never bound to remain available while the runner avoided truth. What was once taken for granted now feels terrifyingly finite. This is where panic enters the body. Anxiety floods the nervous system. Jealousy ignites not toward a specific rival, but toward life itself, toward the possibility that the chaser could belong fully to themselves or to another timeline altogether. Regret tightens its grip, not as guilt alone, but as the crushing awareness of missed moments and unspoken truths. The realization lands with undeniable force. The chaser was never an option. They were never one choice among many. They are the other half of the soul. This fear is not rooted in competition. It has nothing to do with comparison or egoic possession. It is the fear of finality, the fear that something sacred, once lost, cannot be recreated, replaced, or repaired. The fear that this door, once closed, may never open again. Because losing the chaser does not feel like losing a person. It feels like losing home, losing truth, losing the one love that mirrors the soul with absolute clarity. And in the face of that unbearable void, everything reverses. The runner becomes the chaser, not out of strategy, not out of control, but because the absence is too loud to ignore, because life without that soul connection feels hollow, misaligned, and incomplete. Because the heart now understands what the ego once refused to see. Some loves are not meant to be outrun. They are meant to be faced, chosen, and honored before they disappear forever. If you have made it this far, pause for a moment. Let your breath settle. Notice what is moving inside your chest, because reaching this point means something in you recognizes the truth being spoken. This is not just a story you are listening to, it is a mirror, a reflection of moments you may have lived, feelings you may have suppressed, or realizations that arrived quietly and stayed. Take a moment to reflect on your own journey, on the roles you have played, the timing you questioned, and the love that changed you. If this resonates, you are not alone. Share your story in the comments if you feel called, or simply type, "I choose truth over fear," as an affirmation. Your voice, whether spoken or silent, matters here, and your awareness is already part of the shift that comes next. Section 5. The Spiritual Awakening and the Call Home. Awakening does not arrive as comfort or reassurance. It does not knock politely at the door of the psyche. It arrives as a dismantling, a sacred undoing. For the divine masculine, this phase is not gentle because it cannot be. What is awakening must pass through everything that was built to avoid it. Slowly, relentlessly, the false self begins to crack. The carefully constructed masks lose their function. Control no longer provides safety. Distance no longer creates relief. The roles once used to survive strength without feeling, logic without vulnerability, motion without presence begin to feel hollow. What once felt powerful now feels artificial. What once felt stable now feels fragile. As this unraveling deepens, life itself can begin to feel unreal. Crowds feel strangely empty, even when surrounded by people. Conversations lose depth. Achievements lose meaning. Purpose, as it was once defined, quietly dissolves. There is a growing sense that something essential has been missing all along, even if it cannot yet be named. Then a realization rises clear, unavoidable, and humbling. The divine masculine was never truly running from the chaser. They were running from their own soul, from the depth of feeling they did not know how to hold, from the truth that demanded surrender rather than control, from the bond that reflected them too clearly to escape. With this realization come signs that cannot be ignored. Numbers begin to repeat with quiet insistence. Dreams grow vivid, emotional, and symbolic. Messages appear through songs, memories, chance encounters, and inner sensations. The universe no longer whispers, it insists, not as punishment, but as guidance. Not as pressure, but as remembrance. Old belief systems collapse under the weight of truth. Distractions that once numbed the heart no longer work. Emotional walls weaken. Feeling returns in waves, often overwhelming in its intensity. The heart begins to purge what it has carried for years, grief long buried, love long denied, longing long suppressed, and truths long avoided. This is not a breakdown, though it may feel like one. This is a rebirth, a necessary clearing so that something real can finally take shape. The pain is not evidence of failure, it is evidence of awakening. The discomfort is not regression, it is alignment. In this space of raw clarity, the divine masculine remembers, not intellectually but soul deep. The soul contract resurfaces, the mission becomes visible again. The bond written before time, before fear, before identity reasserts itself as undeniable truth. And in this remembering, they return, not driven by ego, not propelled by fear of loss, but guided by recognition. They return not as the runner they once were, but as the chaser drawn home by the one place they can no longer deny, their own soul. The runner does not return because love suddenly arrives out of nowhere. They return because love was never absent. It was only buried beneath fear, pride, and survival patterns that could no longer be sustained. Separation was never a mistake and never a punishment. It was a sacred pause designed to dismantle illusion. The ego had to collapse so truth could breathe. The heart had to reopen so feeling could flow again. Guilt had to surface so accountability could be born. Fear had to be faced so courage could take its place. And the soul had to remember what it had always known. This is why the return feels inevitable rather than dramatic. Union is not fantasy, wishful thinking, or emotional bargaining. Union is alignment. It is destiny expressed through readiness. For the chaser, this phase often arrives as quiet confirmation rather than surprise. Dreams become clearer. Messages feel sharper. Energy shifts ripple through the body without explanation. There is a calm certainty that something sacred is locking into place. Not because effort increased, but because resistance dissolved. The runner does not come back driven by fear of loss. They come back because avoidance no longer works. Because the inner world has grown louder than distraction. Because the soul finally outweighs the ego. Because love has matured into truth. And this is the most important knowing of all. Union does not happen when one chases harder. It happens when both become whole enough to stand still. Thank you for opening your heart to this message, for listening beyond words, for allowing truth to meet you where you are. Before you go, I invite you to anchor this moment. Leave a comment with one specific, meaningful quote that resonated with you from this message, or that reflects what union now means to you. Your words may be the confirmation someone else is waiting for. If this message spoke to you, remember to like and share it so it can reach the souls who need it most. And when you are ready, watch the video below to continue this journey. Until next time, stay anchored in love, stay rooted in truth, and remember, union is not something you chase, it is something you become.